AI was supposed to be this magic bullet for business writing, right? It was going to make everything effortless, super cheap to produce. But what's the reality? Well, for a lot of us, it feels like we're just drowning in this sea of just okay AI-generated documents. If that sounds familiar and you're pulling your hair out trying to get something genuinely good out of your AI tools, listen up. You are definitely not alone. And the solution? Well, it's probably not what you're thinking. Okay, this quote right here, this is the whole game. It gets right to the heart of the problem. It's so easy to just blame the AI, right? To throw our hands up and say, oh, the model just isn't good enough yet. But that's not it. The real problem, the real bottleneck, it's not the machine, it's us. It's our inability to really, truly explain what good even is. So let's talk about AI slop. I bet this feeling is super familiar to you. You open up a document, you start reading, and you just get this sinking feeling. You just know an AI wrote it. It's got that certain flavor, you know? It's wordy, it's kind of vague, and when you get to the end, you realize it didn't actually say anything useful. Yep, that's AI slop. And it's everywhere, flooding our systems, and there's a really simple reason why. It all comes down to this number, basically zero. The cost to write something has just plummeted. And when something's free, what do? We make a lot of it. A lot. The volume of documents has just exploded. And that's created this evaluation crisis. I mean, think about it. Who has the time to actually read and think about all this stuff? We're churning out content faster than our brains can possibly keep up, and that is a recipe for a massive quality control disaster. All right, so how do we fix this mess? Where do we even start? Well, the very first thing we have to do, and this is absolutely crucial, is to get our diagnosis right. We've just stopped blaming the tools. It's not the AI, I'm going to say that again because it's so important. It is not the model's fault. This is a people problem. It comes down to our own lack of clarity. And this right here just lays it all out. On one side, you have what we all do. We get frustrated and we assume the AI model just isn't good enough. We think if only we had a smarter AI. But the reality, the real bottleneck, is on the other side. It's us. It's our own inability to explain what we want. AI isn't a mind reader, it's a mirror. And it's forcing us, maybe for the first time ever, to get super, super clear about what good work actually is. So this leads us to this really important idea called the specification bottleneck. Think about it like this. The game has totally changed. It used to be about how fast you could type. Now it's about how clearly you can think. Any little bit of fuzziness in your instructions, any vagueness in your prompt, the AI doesn't magically fix that. No, it takes that ambiguity and it blows it up. It acts like an amplifier for your own confusion. You know that feeling? I'll know it when I see it. We've all said it. We've relied on that gut instinct for years. That's called tacit knowledge. And guess what? It's completely useless when you're talking to an AI. An AI cannot know it when it sees it because it can't see inside your head. So here's the bottom line. You have to take all that gut feeling and turn it into explicit, concrete, testable rules. If you can't write it down, the AI can't do it. Okay, so if the problem is us, what's the solution? Well, it involves a pretty big shift in how we see ourselves. We have to evolve. We need to stop thinking like we're just writers, just people filling a blank page. We need to start thinking like architects. We're not just writing text, we are designing systems for information. And this quote really drives that point home. It sounds kind of crazy, right? But the companies that are going to win with AI aren't necessarily the ones with the most talented writers. No, they're going to be the ones who are the best at explaining what they want. Your ability to define quality is becoming more valuable than your ability to create it from scratch. The most important skill is translating your big picture goals into a set of instructions a machine can actually understand and execute. So let's talk about information architecture. This is the key. When you're prompting an AI, you can't just give it a template with some section headers and say, fill this in. That's like giving a builder a list of rooms, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, and expecting a house. No, you have to give them the blueprint. You have to provide the underlying logic, the connections, the purpose behind the whole thing. Now here's a really cool technique. It's a little bit backwards, but it is incredibly powerful. Instead of just telling the AI what good looks like, tell it what bad looks like. Seriously, create what's called a failure test. Think about a common problem you see in your documents. Maybe they're too salesy or the action items are always vague. Well, describe that flaw to the AI, give it some examples, and then literally tell it, check for this exact problem. And if you see it, don't do it. It's like giving it an anti-goal. Okay, so enough with the theory. Let's see what this looks like in the real world. Let's break down the anatomy of a truly great prompt and see how it's built.
We're going to use something we all deal with, meeting notes. I mean, how many times have you asked an AI to summarize a meeting and it just gives you this bland, useless wall of text? We're going to do something different. We're going to build a prompt with intent, one that's designed from the ground up to create something that's actually actionable.
So check out the structure of this prompt. This isn't just a lazy summarize this meeting. No, this is a blueprint. It's got 4 key parts. First, a goal. What's the point of this document? Here it's help the team execute. Simple. Second, structure. We're telling it exactly what categories we need based on our business logic. What do we decide? What are the action items? And what are we still unsure about? Third, constraints. These are the ground rules. No fluff, no thanks for the great meeting, and, critically, every action item needs an owner. And finally, the secret sauce, validation checks. We're telling the AI to police itself. Hey AI, before you finish, make sure every single action item has a name next to it. That is information design.
And boom, here's the payoff, the before and after. On the left, that's what you get from a lazy prompt. It's the AI slop we've been talking about, a passive summary. It's just noise. But on the right, that's our intent-driven output. It's not a summary, it's a tool. It's clear, it's actionable, it has names and deadlines. It's pure signal. See the difference? That's the power you unlock when you stop writing prompts and start designing them.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's pretty simple, actually. You can't outsource thinking. AI is an amazing tool, but it's not a substitute for human strategy. In fact, to use it well, you have to think even more deeply about your goals. You just cannot escape the fundamentally human job of defining your intent. You know, there's this big fear that AI is going to make us lazy, that it's going to do our thinking for us. But what we're seeing is the exact opposite. To get great results, this process forces you to think harder and more clearly than ever before. It makes you define standards that, let's be honest, were probably a little fuzzy to begin with. And we have to embrace this, because there are really only 2 paths forward. We either learn this new skill, or we resign ourselves to a future buried under a mountain of useless AI slop. The choice is ours. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought to chew on. The next time you sit down to use an AI, ask yourself this. Are you hoping it will read your mind, or are you giving it a clear logic to follow? Because ultimately, that's the difference between creating more slop and creating something of real, lasting value.